Shalom.
What's up, brother?
What's up, Shalom?
Good, Baruch Hashem, how are you?
Watching the sea.
Yeah, Baruch Hashem, wow. Cool stuff.
Huh?
No, it's a big place.
Yeah, מה שאמרתי לך.
Nice. That's nice. Is it new?
Not really. Sort of new old.
What's up, Rabbi?
Good? Working hard?
Yeah, I see.
A little tired?
Only a little.
Ooh.
Very relevant.
Yeah, Baruch Hashem, it's very relevant. I wanted to tell Medrash guys about this, but I just told them now.
You know what?
I only told them now, I didn't tell them. So, I didn't know this. So, what do you have to say about Hanukkah? I mean, Rosh Chodesh, I really wanted to do it. But all of my chabura,
Yeah. It's funny because I also realized that I'm being here. Yeah, but I don't know, why would I don't think you would disturb.
oh, they're gonna stay up till
What
2 o'clock in the morning.
time is the meeting?
I wanted to make it 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I listened to Mashal Levi told me,
Yeah.
Levi's like, we're gonna get stoned, we're gonna be 2 o'clock home. It's like,
You get what?
we're gonna get drunk, and
Yeah.
that's what they think.
I hear. That makes sense. This place was built to be shul?
This place is a redone house, old house that was not for a very long time. And then he says he wants to be pinui binui.
Makes sense.
He wants to if you're into real estate, it's a good thing.
What, he wants to?
He wants to sell it to somebody. And all about the house between this and this are beautiful.
And
This is a Muznach place.
these are all owned under one.
This guy owns this place.
This,
Mm-hmm.
or this and that and that and this.
No, this.
And who owns that even?
No, something like that.
Yeah, let's have a look. He's not a Kabbalah, he's what's the term?
I think his son was a Kabbalah, but I don't know who it is.
Yeah, I would assume that. Oh wow! Woo! It's getting better every step I do.
Take a look in there.
Whoa! Whoa! What? Whoa! So he has
There's another room there.
from.
There's another bedroom down there.
Whoa! Yeah, now I have to get his number. Just kidding. That's so cool. Yeah, it's just showing the same potential.
You can make an anak counselling.
What?
An anak place.
Yeah, one or not, or even like.
You make a few from. There's a laundry room downstairs.
Downstairs to where? Like, he doesn't live here.
No, the whole thing.
Whoa. How long?
Right here. Yeah, tachlis. Is there any reason we can't have a meeting in this thing to Shabbos us?
Why not?
It's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
It's almost as good as we had.
It's funny because on the way here I was like, I didn't know where I remember that. I didn't know if like you rented out a shul, you did like what's up and this. But yeah, this is insane. Whoa.
You could separate these tables. Have the chazan over there. Right now I have them long on purpose, but really you can have tables over here. Very soon there's going to be a refrigerator and a little bit of a shelf area over there.
This is the only entrance?
Yeah.
Because then it'll be also like boys or somewhere else.
Yeah, having girls over here would be an issue.
Yeah, like if it would be a menu, it would be like for everyone.
Right, having
There's
girls.
one entrance? Like you don't go for like Yeshivat Mir or something.
No.
Here.
Yeah, to make it up, Hashem will hear you very soon.
Right. Wow, but that's so cool that there's like this is happening. It's big. What was it? Could I ask how much?
Yeah, not so much 6,000.
6,000 a month. That's good.
The guys will be some guys will be living here.
Oh yeah, that's much the ideal. That's oh wow. Wow,
They're gonna have a kitchen.
Wow. That's nice.
The two guys moving in.
Is it a Torah?
Yeah, Misha.
Oh, Hashem, that's exactly like what I want. Nice, wow. You think one guy owns all this place? He's looking for a binu binu. That's insane. My head will be overthinking. Because it's you know, takes time.
Yeah, it takes time.
It's funny because back in the day, like, I remember my father like did many of these. Like it's very hard. Like I experienced already how it is to like get like it's very hard. Said it like this doesn't mean that people will not.
Yeah.
But these are very interesting. Did you how do you like these? Like did you also כתוב את כל אלה no, but did you like this file, this PDF, did you send this
I didn't send that out because
that would be like
nice.
nice, these
What's going on in business?
It's kind of a dry season. Yes, it's a little dry. I don't know, it's like between deals, like mamash before Elu, like a few very big deals there. And that covered like Shalom Aleichem.
Tzetzach. Long time no see. How's it going?
Yeshua?
חבר של לוי.
That's cool. כן, אתה רואה? לוי? כן, ברור.
כמעט היו חברי חדר.
וואו. מאיפה בכלל מגיעים?
אידיאלי. אתה מגיע?
אתה בשלנו?
כן.
ברור.
אתה מתי הגעת?
כאילו אני מכיר את הראש השנים.
באמת? איפה? בסנדרס?
לא, אבא שלי גדלתי ליד.
איפה?
בגבעת שאול.
מה השם המשפחה שלך?
ברור.
וואו.
כן. אתה זוכר את אבא שלי?
בטח.
באמת?
בטח.
איך אתה זוכר אותי?
לא. אתה לא יודע איך חסרתי.
לא יודע איך חסרתי. איך אני זוכר את מה?
איך אתה זוכר, אתה לא...
אני מגיע לאחרונה. מגיע לאחרונה הרבה.
עם מי אתה מגיע? עם מי אתה חבר? נכון? כן. לא, דרך מי?
עם מה שלך? כן. וואי, מגניב. אז לא, כשנכנס אמרתי כזה.
מעניין.
מגניב. אתה כאילו, תמיד הייתי את אחיך, כמו שהם, כאילו, אחיך ואת לוסי.
כן. מתי הגעת? מתי אתה מגיע? מתי התחלת להגיע?
התחלתי לאחרונה, אחרי חודשיים.
דרך מי הגעת? מי לי את המספר של לקבוע תורים?
לא, מזמן, אני כאילו שנים כבר כאילו מקבל את הוואטסאפים וזה, בחיים לא כאילו, הייתי מגיע פעם ב3 שנים, לא יודע.
לא דרך נרון או ליצחוק?
לא, לב יצחק פגשתי, כשפגשתי את לב יצחק, אז הוא אמר לי כזה, כן, כאילו, הוא אמר לי, כן, אני הולך, אז אמרתי, זה כאילו כן, שם לי איזה רמיינדר.
כמה אתה? אבל יצא ממש עבר כזה.
כן, כאילו...
אבא שלך הולך מתפילים בכל המועד עדיין?
לא, הוא קצת...
התבטל מהתימניות?
כן,
הוא היה מנהיג התימני. מנהיג רמב"ם.
כן, הוא השתנה קצת לאחרונה, כאילו... אבל אני יודע מגיע, כאילו, שישי פתאום, ברור.
זה בנץ, אחרי הנץ?
הרבה
סתם. לא, יש את הנץ, ואז...
כן, אז בדרך כלל אני כזה, שמונה, ברוכה אחרי. אבל הייתי לאחרונה ברור, כאילו, אתה גר עם, כאילו...
אני גר ליד, עכשיו אני גר פה באזור.
מגניב.
הייתי הרבה, אני לא... יצא לנו.
כן, מה, מגניב. חזק מה...
רציתי לשלוח את זה לחבר של רב דוד, נכון?
כן. מי? צדוי.
אני לא יודע, לא מצאתי את המספר שלו, לא יודע למה. חשבתי שהיה לי...
שלחתי לו, אבל אני לא יכול להגיד.
אז שלחתי לו. אני חושב שיראה את זה, אני לא יודע אם הוא יהיה...
לב ישראל?
לוי...
לב ישראל.
Which lady?
Lady.
No, there's another lady also.
You said that?
Yes, that's it. It was my shiuri.
Yeah.
שיחות שאנחנו נתחיל, כי אני לא יודע כמה חבר'ה יגיעו, לא יגיעו. אבל אנשים שאומרו להגיע, אתה יודע איך זה עובד.
פעם ראשונה שיעור, לא? במתכונת הזאת.
כן. באמת, מהפה פעם נסרתי אותו, אבל...
אולי אני יכול לשמוע בעברית.
כן.
כן?
כן.
התחלתי את הסדרה הזאת בגלל שכשהייתי ילד, בחור, היה לי הרבה התמודדויות עם כל הנושא של תיקון הברית. אבל הרגשתי שאין מישהו שעוזר לי, אין מישהו שמדבר איתי על זה, אין שום הדרכה. אמרתי לעצמי, כשאני אהיה גדול, אני אלמד את זה. אני אבין את זה ולמד את זה. אז הבטחתי לעצמי את הדבר הזה, וחיכיתי עם זה המון שנים, כי היה הרבה התנגדות. כל מקום שהייתי חופר והייתי מדבר עם הרבנים, וזה היה התנגדות שיהיה כזה הסבר ושיעור. אבל עם הזמן התגברתי על הפחדים האלו, והתחלתי לחשוב על כל הנושא. אז הבנתי שמה שאתם עוברים בדור שלכם הוא פי 1000 ממה שאנחנו עברנו בדור שלנו. והוא כל כך קיצוני לכיוון הפוך, לכיוון השלילי, שכל הנושא כן להסביר, לא להביא במקומה נפה, הוא לא רלוונטי. הכל גלוי וידוע, רק החילול השלילי. אז אם אני הולך ללמד מישהו, לא ללמד משהו חדש, אני הולך ללמד אותו משהו מתוקן, לא משהו חדש. אז לכן החלטתי ממש להיכנס לזה בכל הכוח. אני חושב שהדבר הכי בסיסי שצריך להתמקד עליו, שאני חושב שהוא שונה מכל מה שהגישה שאני ראיתי עד כה, שאם אנחנו מדברים על המושג שנקרא שמירת הברית, אז במילים כבר מובן שאומרים על הברית שיש מושג כזה נקרא ברית. ואם אתה לא יודע מה זה ברית, אתה יכול לשמוע עליו. זה בעצם יסוד בכל הגישה לתורה, הגישה לתיקון, שלא מתעסקים בחיסרון. מתעסקים עם החיסרון שהוא מחסר את התיקון. זאת אומרת, ההגדרה במהות של משהו לא טוב, הוא לא טוב. הוא לא רע. כל מה שנמצא בעולם בתור רע, ההסבר שלו באופן עמוק, הוא שהוא חסר הטוב. את כל מה שתמצא בנושא של שמירת הברית, הבעיה היא שאתה עיכבת וגמת ביכולת שלך לעשות ברית. זה כל הבעיה. הוא לא בעיה של עצמו. הוא בעיה בגלל יש לנו מטרה, יש לנו דבר הכי טוב בעולם, ואז משהו בא ומחסר אותו. ולכן ההתמקדות, אנחנו במשך השיעור נלמד באופן עמוק את הביטויים הלא טובים בעולם. אבל לא בתור שאנחנו נבין אותו, וכל הרוע שיש פה. אנחנו נבין למה הוא מעכב, ולמה הוא לא את המטרה של הברית. עכשיו, כדי שנבין את זה, אנחנו צריכים מה זה ברית בכלל. אז לדעתי, זה דבר אולי הכי נעלם, ועוד יום ועוד יום מתעלם יותר. הוא נעלם בעולם התורה, בטח בתור דיבור, ובעולם הפיזי, כל החוץ, בגלל שזה פחות מצליח. אבל העניין של הברית הוא ששורש כל המציאות, שורש כל התורה כולה. מה הדבר הכי חשוב בתורה? הכי חשוב. שאהבת לרעך כמוך. זה כלל גדול בתורה. למה? כי רעך יש לו שתי פירושים. רעך זה השם, ורעך זה החבר שלך. מי זה החבר שלך הכי טוב בעולם? שמח תשמח רעך אהובי. זה אשתך. הרבה גמרות ככה. יש מקדש, גמור במידה, שאהבת לרעך כמוך, הכוונה לאהוב את אשתך. זה גם אוהב את החברים, אבל זה כמו מעגלים. יש מעגל פנימי, אחרי זה יש מעגל יותר חיצוני. המעגל הפנימי, הכי פנימי, זה אשתך. זה הביטוי הכי חזק של אהבת כמוך. ושמה, הפירוש של אהבת כמוך הוא בעצם מלימוד איך להגיע, אהבת כמוך, רעך אביך אל תעזוב, זה השם יתברך. כי המידות שאתה לומד עם אשתך, אלו הם אותו מידות שאתה יכול ללמוד איך להתחבר לשם. ולכן, אתה תראה מה בקודש הקדושים, מה נמצא שם. כרובים. ואיך הכרובים מחוברים? הגמרא מדידה ביומה אומרת מפורש, שהם מחוברים כאיש ואישה. עכשיו הזיווג. זאת אומרת, הזיווג הוא הביטוי הכי מושלם של החיבור שלנו עם השם יתברך. הכי מושלם. ולכן זה מה שכתוב בשיר השירים. שיר השירים הוא כל כולו סיפור אהבה. הסיפור של השם יתברך בעולם, זה גם סיפור איש ואישה. זה אותו סיפור. בעצם הדבר הזה, זה נקרא ברית. זה הכוונה החיבור עם שתי אנשים שיש לנו נאמנות, שאני שלך ואת שלי. חיבור ביניהם, נאמנות אחד בשני. וזה דבר שהוא בעצם אמור להיות התענוג הכי גדול בעולם כולו. כמו התורה, השם ברא את העולם, להתענג על השם וליהנות מזיו שכינתו. החיבור שאיש ואישה אמור להיות משל לזה, שהוא, לכן הוא דבר שהוא בנוי במהותו בכל מיני כיוונים, גם פיזי, גם רגשי, גם רוחני, להביא לחוויה הכי גדולה. זה מה שהשם מתכוון. לא טוב יעש אדם לבדו, עשר כנגדו, זה חלק מגן עדן. המתנה הכי גדולה לאיש זה אישה. זה מה שהתמונה שהשם יתברך התכוון לתת לנו. עכשיו, למה אני אומר שזה נעלם? כי גם, בעיקר וגם הברית, הוא שהוא נותן לנו את המידות ההפוכות מלעשות את הברית הזה. הוא מונע באופן אסטרטגי מאוד ליצור את החיבור הזה של עם איש ואישה. ולא לבד שהוא עושה את אסטרטגית, הוא גם, כמו שהנחש, הוא נותן לנו תפיסה שבעצם הוא לא הדבר הכי מענג בעולם. זאת אומרת, כמו שהתפיסה הוא בעולם החוץ, בחור אחד דיבר איתי היום. הוא אמר לי שהחברים שלו הסכימו, איפה שהם מדברים, שכדאי לשכב מהווה הכי הרבה נשים שאתה יכול לפני החתונה, כי בחתונה זה כבר לא, היא לא תתן לך שום דבר. כן? זאת אומרת, הכיף הוא ברווקות, הכיף הוא בזנות. אבל בזוגיות זה ממש משעמם. זה בחינת הנחש, שהוא עושה הכל הפוך. הוא עושה שהטוב הוא רע והרע הוא טוב. ואני לא עכשיו לא דיברתי על רוחניות, אני דיברתי על עולם שלנו. והוא מצליח לעשות שקר כל כך חזק, שלא בעולם ככה מאמין. וככה, כשבן אדם מאמין, הוא מקיים את הנבואתו בכוח. אז מגשימים את זה ממש בכוח, אז רוב הזוגיות שאתה רואה, זה פח. ואני גם מדריך זוגות וגם מטפל באחרים, יכול לראות את הקשר בדיוק. בדיוק. מה שהוא עשה, מה שהוא היה שמה, הוא ממשיך להיות בזוגיות, וזה תמיד מתחיל עם הגבר, האישה גם חלק מזה, וכל מה שהוא עשה בתור בימי הבחוץ, יכול לחסל באופן אסטרטגי את היכולת שלו לעשות את זיווג טוב. הוא צריך לעבוד קשה, לעקור את המידות והמושגים שהוא קיבל מהביטויים הרעים שיש בעולם. את הביטוי של הרע הוא ביסוד מחסל את הדבר מתנה הכי גדולה שהשם רוצה לתת לך. זה המהות של הרוע של פגם הברית. כי הוא לשמור כן הוא פוגם את הברית. זה הבעיה שלו. זאת אומרת, הוא גונב ממך תענוג, גונב ממך שמחה. עכשיו, אנחנו צריכים ללמוד את זה בעומק, כי הרי אנשים עושים את זה בגלל שיש להם שמחה, יש להם תענוג. אז אנחנו נראה במשך הזמן שהתענוג שהשטן תמיד מביא לאדם הוא תענוג זמני. והחיסרון והקורבן שיש מזה הוא הרבה זמן. לעומת כל משהו שהוא טוב במהות, לוקח זמן, צריך להשקיע בו, אבל בסוף של דבר ההשקעה משנה אותך לרצח. הרבה זמן. תמיד. כל דבר רוחני זה ככה. כל מתנה. שלום אלי. Hello. How are you? Now we're going to speak to English. Okay. How's it going, Eli?
What?
So how's it going?
I'm pretty good. Do you have company?
There are two covers.
Oh, my name is Ali. Great to meet you. I'm sorry, I was trying to put down time, but whatever. You so sorry. Anyway, I brought some stuff to the parents.
we doing it now, or later?
Sure.
What do you mean?
Wow, thank you, bro.
I'm good sharing so much. That's me.
You also have, that's not cups, we have cups from the.
Yeah? Okay, the kettle's like almost
What do you say?
Is that a kettle? Not for now, for later.
I have a kettle at home when I forgot.
Anything else? Gabriel,
You know Gabriel.
I know Gabriel.
On the room.
Yeah, but he didn't say anything else. Like,
He was what? Sure.
Right, what a nice gift. What is this?
This is the microphone.
Maybe there's no way that has to help. It helps them. Yeah, that's
So, basically, the biggest difficulty that people have in this world is to believe in marriage. To believe in the Talmud they're going to get from the Tikkun Amidos that has to do with marriage. Now, one of the main reasons this happens, this dar is exposed to negative sexuality in a way like no other dar was in the history of the world. I'll give you some examples, okay? I have never, literally never spoke to any bocher who told me he didn't watch porn. Never one time. Except for Olive.
No, I was gonna say that, and then I was like, yeah, but I listened to red porn, so that's gotta count, you know?
Right. I'll give you an example. Pornhub, okay? One of the leading porn sites in the world claimed that in 2019 they had 42 billion visitors with 39 billion searches performed. There are only 7 billion people in the world. That's 115 million a day, almost 5 million an hour, and almost 80,000 a minute. That's just one site. One site. To put that in perspective, one porn site will have recorded more than 200,000 visits, according to their own estimates. As I say this word. I say this word, 200,000. No, 200,000. That's only in 2019. Believe me, it got worse.
Yeah.
Okay? 2019 uploads to the site, Pornhub estimates 12,500 gigabytes per minute, which means enough to fill the memories of every smartphone in the entire world. Okay? Together, the top porn websites in the world account for more than 6 billion visits per month. Nearly one a month for every person on earth. Okay? Now, what's the, who's doing it? So, according to the internationally, it's basically almost 100% of men, and they're actually, it's like acceptable, and about 68% of women. Okay?
60?
68% of women.
68% of women, how much of that?
100%. 98, 99, whatever. Okay? Which is exactly what I see. Exactly. Both boys, both girls, 100% see that. Okay?
Why is it so high on
Because you would also have a desire for intimacy.
I thought they had a desire for connection.
Okay?
Yeah.
So do men. But the Satan is na'avet, the person is to believe, they will feel those feelings when watching and experience a sexual experience. Based on a shekel. Now, what are the ages? Let's look at that for a second. Okay, now we know that a person is extremely impressionable in the young years. Okay? So, according to the studies that I read,
by 13, most young people are exposed to porn. Okay? And according to nationally represented studies in America, 84.4% of 14 to 18-year-old male and 57 of 14 to 18 females have viewed pornography. Which is basically a very fascinating thing because it's an adult entertainment, right? It's illegal to talk to kids. In my experience, I've never met a kid of 13 who hasn't seen it. Many people have told me, 8 years old, people told me 4 years old.
Sure.
I can tell you something you know.
It's nuts.
Good kid, grew up in Lakewood. Okay?
Pushing out.
What?
Pushing out. Come on.
Right, see, that's what I'm trying to tell you is people don't believe what we're holding.
No, not 4-year-old. Pushing it.
Stop pushing. It also depends on who's showing him. Some people get show their brothers and sisters. There's many stories like that.
I don't know if 4-year-olds can have a real sex drive.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's obvious to you.
You can sexualize anybody. You're right, it's not natural. But believe me, they don't have the chemistry to do it. But they've been exposed to it. Okay, so that means the youngest, most impressionable years of a human being are taught. First of all, there is such a thing as sex. And then not only taught that, they're taught what it is. Okay, and as we'll learn, they're taught exactly the hefech, hagomor of anything that has to do with the truth. Anything that has to do with the topic of bris, which means the chiyuv, the isha, which is a beautiful, incredible, successful, full of pleasure experience, everything they teach is exactly the opposite. So, as an example, we have to see the hashlochos. If we understand the hashlochos, then we can deal with it. So, for example, what is the attitude, what is the explanation of how to treat a woman in pornography?
ניצול. ניצול, עונג עצמי, עינוק עצמי, סיפוק עצמי.
Chefetz? Listen to this. How often is there abuse in porn? Not only nitzul meaning, but actually kalut.
Can we translate in English? What is nitzul? What is talut?
Nitzul means I use this person to my benefit.
Okay.
Hitalut is abuse, hurting the person. Okay? 1 in 3, and as many as 9 in 10 scenes show act of physical aggression or violence, while about half contain verbal aggression towards women. These studies also found that women were the targets of aggression and violence about 90% of the time. So 90% of the aggression and violence is towards women. Okay? 1 out of every 8 porn titles shown to first-time visitors describe acts of sexual violence. Okay?
It's still about me. Okay, good. Okay.
So what does that teach you? It means to say that from the time a person is whatever age they start, they're being taught, first of all, that a woman is an object for your pleasure, and not only that, treat them badly. Now let's just think about the chinuch of what happens to a guy who gets married with that midos. And it's not something which is like, oh yeah, I'll just change my opinion. It's ingrained. You were taught every single time everything you see, you think, puts us in a certain space. And to undo that, you have to heal. Now, what does a person think about themselves when they have those meals? How do people feel after they finish watching porn?
רגענות, רב רבני.
I feel like the romantic books that I read are different.
Dramatics books you read are different?
Romantic.
Romantic.
They tend to emphasize more
The romance. Right. Porn is a totally different thing. Porn is not about romance. The word pornography means sex on film. That's what it means. It means you're taking its prostitution on film. It's specifically a huge change what was. It didn't exist in my generation. Almost nothing. Even magazines were at the same level. I'm not talking about looking at women. I'm talking about experienced acts of sexual experience between two people. That was didn't happen. It wasn't accessible, it didn't happen. It's very, very accessible now to every single person in the world. It's something completely never happened. Romantic novels have existed in time of Shulchan Aruch. Old as the sun. Okay? It is a totally different level of chinuch. It changes your morals and your values. And one of the reasons people feel so bad afterwards is because they actually feel the negativity about their personality that they were just taught. They became a bad person from this experience. And what's more, it teaches you that you want your sexual desire, you're enjoying this thing, right? So it teaches you that your sexual desires, you want that stuff. It teaches you that what the Nachash was trying to teach us, and the Christian world believes in Mulu'o, and so a lot of the Goyim, they believe that sexual desire is an evil thing, and it's a necessary evil in order to have children, but it's something which should be avoided because it's not positive. I once saw a guy say that the reason, you know why intimacy, you know why sexuality is so intimate? Because your worst part of yourself you express, and your wife sees it and she doesn't reject you. Okay? So what that does, it teaches people that their expression is bad. Okay? So a lot of things happen about this. First of all, the strong, and by the way, the chinuch in the Torah helps that a lot. Because when we teach people that Oz VeHadar and Yistaktus makes, tuma and shchasa and all these things.
Even just calling it beya, not beta.
even in the Lashon Nikiya that we use, right, has all taught us, underlying strong message, that the entire topic is something of negativity. Now what I see comes naturally out of that is the amount of abuse that exists specifically in the frum community. And when I say the word frum, I don't mean only Jews, I mean frum going too. Right? The more orthodox it is, the more abuse it is. Because what happens is, on a level of dat, a level of religion, people get this impression that they are bad. Their desires are bad. So therefore, the only expression when they have desires, first of all, pornography encourages this type of abusive behavior. And their moral hinge is like, I want this, and the only thing I can want is something bad. So then, basically, my being is bad. As much as I let it be expressed because it's my being, it's going to do bad things. That's what happens, bad things. Right? If they have two choices, either deny their basic needs or express it badly. Those are only two choices. In other words, really there's two paths in the world. There's Chaim and Mafis. Because the Satan has a mashpia to close down the path of Chaim, to shut us down in the belief system that there is good, then what happens by definition is acts of Mafis only.
I found it fascinating that acts of love are actually experienced as negative. It means the very fact that it is negative creates a negative experience. That's a fascinating thing.
Because out there, or is out there. When you do something bad, it gives you a pull.
Well, that people usually think is like another area. Like here you're saying that the actual experience will result in an experience of negativity, even after that.
אולי יש הרבה פרשנות מוטעת לגבי כל המושגים, ההלכות והמושגים, אבל עדיין הם קיימים.
הלכות?
כן. הם קיימים.
רוב ההלכות כמעט כל ההלכות שאני למדתי, אנשים מפרשים את זה בלי קשר מה שכתוב.
עדיין לא שנקי, ועדיין איזה קטן, ועדיין...
לא שנקי הוא דבר טוב.
כל מה שבכלל.
לא שנקי הוא דבר טוב. כל מה שאתה עושה בעולם, anything you do in this world, depends on your midos. If you see things as bad, you will mefarish all of what Chazal said as like you're thinking. And even after I understand very well the duty of marriage, I also speak a Lashon Nikiyah. You know why? For two reasons. First of all, it has potential to do something bad. So I keep it careful. You can have an expression, bad expression of this. The second thing is, because the good is so beautiful and so special, when it stays between two people, it's private, it's our secret, our relationship. The second that I put it out into the world, it loses all of the specialness between the two of us. So it's not only, it's called hilchos tznius. It's not only because you can have a negative expression, it's because the positivity is dafka when it's hidden in tzanua.
איזה קטן יש לו לאדם, מסביר, מסביר, זה לא נאמר על סרט בוטולת.
זה נאמר על חיבור.
על חיבור.
נו.
אז יוצא גם בחיבור שיש מקום להתרחב.
רגע. That's a perfect example. Ever katan yesh ba'adam, maspio, right. You decide that's not negative. How do you know? All that says is, when you connect with your wife, you'll want her more. You won't get tired of her. And if it's a time where you need to be Polish, then do precious well, shut it down, and you will be successful in being Polish. That's all it means.
That's great, because I haven't heard people read it.
That's what it says.
I must do. That's great.
Everybody else decided no. Since it becomes ra'ev, that's for sure a problem. Because you should never be ra'ev. You know what it'd be like? I'll tell you what it's like. If you eat breakfast, you never have to eat again. That's really good. We want that, right? You'll never want to eat again. You'll die because you didn't eat. Nachon? I don't know if these people are mefarish things according to their midot. They decided that a person is ra'ev for intimacy, something wrong with it. Anachat yisod. So then they said, okay, well this Chazal is saying the way to become not ra'ev is to do this. Who yamach? I'm telling you, there's so many Chazalim that people read. Keep going. You'll ask me anything, I'll show it to you. They decided that things are bad. They're not.
רישוס,
What's precious?
אוהל שתמיד חכמים.
What is precious? How often should you be with your wife? Why are you with your wife more or less? What's the reason? You're Yechol. You're physically Yechol, which means if you're a kollelim man and you do nothing all day long, no, I mean physically.
I know.
I mean physically, you don't do anything all day long. You're mechayiv every day. Every day, because you have koch. It's called kollelim, lashon tzeil. People sit, they don't do physical work, they sit in the tzeil.
Really?
Yeah. Kollelim, halacha mufreshus, Shulchan Aruch. If you have a person who is oved, yoter or agressivi, whatever it is, in koch, because there it takes away your koch. But the whole thing is the mechuyavus to your wife, because it's such an important time for her. You're mechuy, even if you don't give it to her, you're doing inui. Now, why is it Talmud Chacham? Talmud Chacham doesn't mean you. It means like a Ravadi. The man learns 18 hours a day all the time, right? And if he would stop learning, he wouldn't be a Ravadi. So for him, once a week. Now, if you're not Vatal Torah for anything else, we can talk to you. But besides that, everybody else, right? They're supposed to be to the rise as much as they have koch. Because you owe her. Because she needs you. Now, people are mepharshis. No, rishus is holy. Talmud Chacham means you should be less with your wife all the time. That is mamash and ivut divrei Chazal. Doesn't say anything of the sort.
What about like לא לעבוד שיחה עם האישה,
באשתו, בזמן נידותה. Now, בכלל לאו אתה שומע אין. That what? You should be מערב שיחה עם אשתו בשעת סתר. זה מה שכתוב, נו. לא? ככה לא לומדים.
את החיבוי הזה?
אל תערב שיחה עם האישה, באשתו נאמר, איך זה יכול להיות? בשעת שהיא נידה. חז"ל right there.
No, I know the mission, I never looked at the ground.
No, חז"ל.
No, there is no English. But arbitrary, in arbitrary
This is the first time.
Al Tava Seichem is then, the first one explain either means Eshesish, or Ereva, or means Ishto B'Shani.
It's the first thing you're hearing.
You see how cruel that is? Never would anybody ever think you should Ma'ava Seichem Yishtacha. All of Rishonim, and someone decided, no, a woman you should talk to. Because of course, woman is the shorsho of all Ra in the world. So Chalil, you should never talk to her, right? That's what people understand in their brain. It's the most important chibur in the whole Bria. And of course, Sicha makes it a better chibur, right? If you want to shmooze with somebody, what happens when you shmooze with somebody? You connect. Not only that, you're mechuyev to shmooze with her, because you can't connect to a woman intimately unless you connect with her first in dibur, in siyach, and beautiful words. You're not allowed to, because she can't connect to you. And called piyus, Allah mefurashes also. So you are mechuyev because of your achrayas to her, because she needs your love and she needs your zera. And if you don't give it to her, you're cruel and over a love. So you have to ma'ava sicha with your wife.
Really, that's not over a love.
Love, if you megareah one time, what you're supposed to do with her, you're over a love.
What? That's nuts.
Sheira, ksusa, galasa, lo tigra. A love.
That's nuts.
It's not lutz. Do you understand? You feel
No, nothing like about it.
No, it's pashut because this woman wants you. She loves you. She needs your connection. And it's painful. You can also, which by the way goes the other way too, right? If you want your wife and she's like, no. How does that feel? Imagine how that feels. Right? I promise you, it's the worst pain in the world being refused sexually. The worst pain. And that's what Hashem is telling you. What does it say in Chazal? In Bayanunu. Yeah? In the Mitzri. On the Agor it says, Milamed shepirshu miderech eretz. What was the in they were talking about in Mitzrayim? That they couldn't be with their husband or wife. Yeah, that's all the rest of the things. Parech and all this other things. Bayanunu. So it's incredible pain. Now, if you care about this woman, you're married to her, you love her, you will never do that to her. And if she loves you, she'll never do that to you.
אחרת זה איפה מפרשים את זה שזה קשור לריבס?
מלמד שפירשו דרך ארץ, פירש דרך ארץ. That's what the word is דרך ארץ. לא עליו בדרך כל הארץ. That's what Lashon Yisub also.
כן, רואים את זה שם במקום.
כן, כן, מפרשים לפעמים.
כן?
בטח. זה הפשט. זה לא לימדו אותך בחדר.
לא.
כן, פשט.
Yeah, most of the time it's usually a
That's how it's called in Ksub, okay, so I think you should, all of these chazalim, people who read them, mamash bakum. Throw them out, keep going, it's great. We can keep but you see, what I'm telling you is that this is a klipa, a miraglim of the biggest matana that Hashem can give us in the whole world. We're taught to believe, and we have rayas from Chazal, that it's something wrong. And therefore, the only place that people look for the expression, because it's like this, either they kill themselves, or they explode, and when they explode all over people. In the frum world, there's more sexual abuse than there is in the non-frum world.
אני לא סומך על הפרשנות האישית שלי כשאני קורא את הדברים, את המושגים במונחים האלה. אני לא סומך על הפרשנות האישית שלי, אני סומך על הפרשנות של הצדיקים שהיו קודם שפרשו את זה בצורה שהם לא את זה נכון. זה אנשים שאני מחזיק מהם כצדיקים.
אוקיי. אני סומך על הפרשנות שלי.
לא, רוב יודע לסייס, כן, אבל יש כל מיני צדיקים, כל הדורות האחרונים. האחרונים יותר, זה מוכיח.
נכון.
בסיסון מגור וכל צדיקים שלקחו את זה מאוד קטנה, אז פשוט כל הדברים האלה במשקפיים שלהם, הם כן, בשביל זה אני לא מרגיש זכות לפרשן את זה בצורה שאני חושב לפרשן.
Why would you pick the basis struggle when he's for sure das Yachid? Neged the entire world. Number one. Number two, we are very smart people. You want to know why? Because we're after the fact. If you really want to have a conversation, Rav and I meeting, really our meeting, I'll talk to you privately. We know exactly what the Korban Sadat does. Churban Mamish. Churban Mamish. We know exactly.
Yeah, you're so good.
I'll be all very good with you.
לא, יכול להיות. יכול להיות, בחלק מהמקרים, עוד פעם, הפרשנות שהוא נתן לדברים מסוימים.
עכשיו בואו נשב על הפרשנות שלו, אחד אחרי השני, ונראה מה אנחנו מסכימים.
והיה לו חולק, הסטייפלר חלק נגדו לדוגמה, סתם, מקרה אחד,
נעת הסטייפלר חלק עליו. כל העולם חלק עליו, והוא לא אמר שיש לי כבוד. הוא לא אמר שזה מסתדר. הוא לא אמר שנכון מה שאני אומר כתוב. הוא אומר, אני יודע, אבל יש לי כבוד לעשות נגד זה. כי מה שהוא אמר זה נטו נגד שולחן ערוך. Now, I would suggest to you, in general, forget about this topic. In general, it's not a healthy thing to say, because he said something, I'm going to believe it. Never, because just because you don't have any zich, you don't have yourself. You should be thinking, what do I think what he says about this? And if you agree, you agree. If you don't agree, don't agree. Hashem is going to judge you according to what you think. So if you stop thinking, he's going to ask you why you stop thinking.
You think you don't know, you need to like ask advice for
When you ask advice, Kishmo Keinu, it's advice.
Yeah, but you don't know, like, I don't know, it's a new topic that you never...
השאלה הסכחונים, יש לנו את הדרך של...
אמונס תחכמים.
הדור הקודם,
אמונס תחכמים.
סקבולה.
What is the translation of Amunus Chachamim? Does Amunus Chachamim mean they can't make a mistake? Oh, so we were supposed to know Moshe Rabbeinu, right? Did he ever make a mistake? It's not, it's the same deal. Amunus Chachamim means to say you should trust them, that they're coming, you should trust. You have trust for them. They're coming from all of their midos of tzidkus and all of the things to say that's what they're saying. They're not saying stop and stuff. They're saying because they believe rote Hashem. That's Emunus Chachamim. Doesn't mean they're right. The whole HaTorah Kula is malei machlotzim. How? Fathers on sons, sons on fathers, rebbeim, on talmidim. Emunus Chachamim, keep their mouth shut. There was never such a thing in Klal Yisrael. Every single person learned the Torah and said, listen, this is what I think.
נכון, אתה מפלגס, מתבססת על כמה דעות מסוימות, מתבססת, כן?
I'm talking about the Bali Machlokes.
כן, בעל המפלגס יש להם דעת, מתבססת, גם, זה מביא את הטיעון שלו.
מה שהוא חושב.
כן, את הטיעון גם, את הטיעון, אמרנו מתבסס. לא רק מה שהוא חושב, כמה שכל הישר.
בבקשה.
מה הטיעון? זה היה לי יותר קל, אם הייתי יודע, לא, אני חושב, עכשיו בפרשנות שלי, היא עקומה בגלל כל מיני צדיקים, ומה אני מדבר נגד,
So when you get to hear a Pirush on the Tzaddik, you should think to yourself, do I agree? And if I don't agree, why does he think what he thinks, and why do I think what I think? It'll only make you smarter. It'll only make you understand it better. Doesn't mean he's wrong, doesn't mean he's right. But you should ask, you should be intellectually honest with yourself and say, well, what did I think before he said that? Now, why do I think it's right? Does it make sense to me? Does it not make sense to me? I will tell you, b'li shom safek, that there were for sure people who were tzaddikim, who were influenced by Christianity in Europe. B'li shom safek. Because everybody's midos are not metuchamas.
הוא לא משה רבינו.
Moshe Rabbeinu was aspaklaya amiyut, which means his midos weren't chotzes from Hashem whatsoever. But all the rest of the Nevi'im were not the same thing, which means the Rambam explains in Pirush Mishnayos, that their midos interfered, that they couldn't see Hashem mushlam. Which means even the biggest Nevi'im had tikkun to do. And they said things that weren't meduyah, 100%. That's fine, you're allowed to do that. Avraham Avinu made a mistake, Yitzchak made a mistake, Yaakov made a mistake, everybody makes mistakes. That doesn't mean you shouldn't listen to them. Of course you should listen to them. right? But let's put things in proportion to understand. So you have a person who's a tzaddik. He has an opinion. Okay, he has an opinion. You can see, well, how does the opinion sound to me? Does it look with the rest of the Torah? Does it fit with the rest of the Torah? And you might decide it doesn't fit. I'll tell you something even more than that. The Rambam, he was a pretty holy man, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was a bucking Torah ruler, right? Okay. So his approach to the world was precious. That the Avos HaKadoshim were in the world, and in order to be really double with Hashem, you have to leave the world. Okay? First of all, and his whole pirush on intimacy was the same type of thing. He writes in the Gemara, because it's not, it just blocks Hashem, it's physical. So leave your body is the best thing. That's why he holds Olam Haba has no body. That's why what? Olam Haba has no body. Right? And the Mekubalim, including the Ramban, said, Chas v'chalila, he's totally wrong.
What did they say?
They said that all of Hashem's gilui happens from this world. The Shechina is Shuyo, when a husband and a wife connect, and they play like Yitzchak played with his wife. Yitzchak had fun with his wife. Pirush Hamikra.
Yeah, people don't read opposite times.
Okay. If we're going to cut out the Chumash, then I can't have conversations.
No, that's not what I meant.
That's what it says.
I know. That's what people.
He was a pretty holy Jew, Yitzchak, you know? Like, he's one of my elders. You have Yichas, I also have Yichas. So, you have to get things in proportion. So it could be they held this way, but it could be they held this way according to their life experience, according to the Torah they learned. One of the tzaddikim said, that he has no right to be cholek on the Rambam. But the reason why he sees things different than the Rambam is not because the Rambam was like an Aryeh and he was like a Shua, right? He was like a fox. He was much smaller, but the door that we're in is higher than the door that was 1,000 years ago. Because the world is constantly ticking, right? Every door gets more matuk and more matuk and more. That's why we have 6 Torahs in the world. So it's not that we disagree with the Rambam. It's that in this world, it's obvious that that's not true. You can ask anybody, can you find Hashem in life? When you play music, when you play with your kids, when you eat, can you find holiness over there? And everybody, it's like, yeah, of course, what are you saying? It's much easier for us to understand, not because we're bigger than him. Absolutely not. We're tiny compared to him. But we live in a door of more gilui. So it could be someone 300 years ago in Europe, 100 years ago in Europe, before he came to Eretz Yisrael would think one way. If you live in Eretz Yisrael, think the other way. So it's not, I'm not saying they're not tzaddikim, I'm not saying you shouldn't listen to them. You should listen. You should take Eitzah. Eitzah does not mean they're right. Eitzah means it's an idea that you take with a lot of comfort. Now let's decide what you think. If you don't do that, Hashem will send you back to this world and say, Be about bochurim. You didn't do anything. It's not your world, you didn't create it. It's not healthy for a person to say, I don't think. It's the halacha of all of the chiyuv. The chiyuv, Hashem wants you to create your own reality. Okay, so in all of these things, look, question. You hear something, everything I say, question it. Maybe I'm wrong. But notice, the main thing you always have to notice is what midah is it coming from. Because people's parshanut always depend on a tfisat olam, what they think about the world. So think about the world and say, this is what Chazal means. How do I notice what it means? Are you being honest? The words actually mean this, or is this your parshanut? Ma katuv, mani mfaresh. That's true in Kol Torah, by the way. I can't tell you how many, I learned halacha many years. Okay, I can't tell you how many times people misread pshat because they have an assumption. Why do they have an assumption? Because they had a hakira, because they had a yisod, they want to say the Gemara, right? Stop. That's the yisod of all Talmud Torah is to be naki. That's why we learn this a bunch of times. That's why you fix our midos. Otherwise, you're going to get it wrong because you're not with the Torah. The Torah is supposed to bring you to a higher place. There's no difference between this sugya and every other sugya. This sugya you have to check your midos and understand. Now we have besides the fact that we came from the Christian world, we also have a huge experience now of the whole world, which has taught us the strongest message in the world. The taiva for a woman is a bad thing. It's abusive. It's using somebody. It's not holy, and they're right. 100% it's right. Because everything they're showing is totally not holy, and very abusive, and not caring about somebody else, and has nothing to do with what Hashem meant. But let's go find out what Hashem did mean. Let's go find out the two paths. Let's tichayim. And after we see chayim, we can choose, wait, I can use all of these koichas for something beautiful. Adam Rishon was mitbayesh from his brit. He had to put on clothes. Why was he mitbayesh? Says the Ramban, says the Oz VeHadar, because he felt within him yodea toivara. He had a cheshek, he had a das, a connection, the desire, as much to do tov, to do ra. Oh my God, cover this thing up.
Why cover this thing up? Why not just say, great, time to do it. Let's go.
Because there's a possibility the entire time, and not only is the entire time, it's a constant milchama, even the kedusha, to make sure you don't do things that are l'mashal. A huge part of the avodah of zivug is to be caring about your wife. And it's, I'm not going to get into the details, we're not getting married, but it's a avodah of a man, yodea eschava ishto, to actually know how a woman works, and to treat her correctly and be mechuyev to her. What does Hashem tell you? You have mechuyev to this woman. You have to make her life pleasurable. You have to care about her, real love. Those are tikkun amidos. And when a guy gets married, till the day he dies, believe me, without anything negative, he becomes more refined and more refined and more refined just because of Oisik Kedusha.
After 6 months, he hasn't got used to how to please her?
No.
That's a real question here. Right?
No.
After 6 months, like whatever.
No.
Once you get used to
No, and it's a constant battle also because you always want to be selfish. There's learning and there's actually doing it. There's a constant mison. Constant. And that's why, yes, it's something to be embarrassed about. But Avram Avinu, this week's parasha, last week's parasha, Sivna Yod Fatachar Sirechi. When he looked for a holy object, he pulled out his pants and he said, swear on this my bris. What happened to his busha? Says Oz VeHadar, U'tikein tachet. Lo yitbayesh bichlal. Because the way he treated Sarah, it's just like my hands. Which means there's a possibility to make your body so kadosh that actually it's the place where the most holy place on your body. He didn't take a shoe on his hands, even on his head. He didn't take a shoe on his head. He put tefillin on his head, right? Now, Rabbi doesn't kind of call it cooler. You know what my machshavas he had and his brain, Avram Avinu? No, that's not a holy thing. You know what's holy? It's bris. Where is the Shem Hashem chasum on your body? Only one place. On your bris. Which means that's do we want to know the Atzelim Elohim? You want to be a melech like Hashem? Use your bris part. So when we understand more and more what these midos are, and see how beautiful they are, amazing they are, and then we can say, wait a minute, that? You know what that is? It's not that. It actually destroys that. I want tov. I want chaim. What's that? That's the opposite of chaim. I'm not doing that. And here's where we come to an incredible gilui of the whole topic. How does our system of chinuch deal with this topic? What are the midos? How do we get kids to not mozzarella batala? How do we get kids not to look at things they shouldn't look at? How do we get kids not to play around with girls? How do we do it as a tzibur?
Okay, so in terms of girls, you separate, right? In terms of the other areas, like Mrs. Zara, she doesn't talk about it, generally speaking.
There are plenty of people talk about it. What do they say?
Horrible, burnt in here,
Killed more people than Hitler. I always loved that line. It was great. Right?
What did they tell you in school?
לא להתייחסות היחידה, לא נשכב על הבטן.
That's it. They didn't tell you if you're Motzah Levatah, you create shadim and lilim, and you're causing the world. I want to look on the internet, just for kef. Shmir Sabris. Just for kef to see what would happen. Okay? This guy, you should see it. It's really good to listen to. Look right. Shmir Sabris. This one video was talking about how this kid was looking at the screen, and then he was creating, I think, a car accident by his family or destruction by his family. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good job. Yeah.
Okay? So, Chofshi. Okay, that's what they had to sell it.
No, those are the best.
So, בוא נבין מה זה עושה. בוא נבין מה זה עושה.
זה גרוע יותר מבורנו, מה זה? זה יותר גרוע מזה,
Okay.
מבחינת פיס.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, basically makes the person think he's horrible, disgusting. And one person feels horrible, disgusting, what do they do? Do more. Of course, because otherwise they need something to do to make themselves feel good.
No, it sounds like I'm already disgusted.
Oh, right, I'm already a bad person. Let's enjoy life, you know? By the way, people tell me that all the time. People tell me that mutzar. I'm anyway messed up, so I'm not going to mutzar. It's not even about, it's what happens. Okay? So we use fear to get people to do things. Or we use control. Separate the boys and the girls. Get a smartphone into a yeshiva. What happens to a boy who's caught looking at porn? So I've had a lot of Talmidim who have come to me and told me their stories. What do you think happens, in case you didn't try it?
Well, it becomes a secret, but it's the kind of secret that everyone knows one way or another.
What do they do to the boy?
Kick him out.
For sure, number one, kick him out.
No one kick him out.
Number one, kick him out.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Males. Then you have to mavayish him, so you have to tell him, make sure that he knows he's a horrible person, to bring his parents in, and then you have to tell him that he's totally different than everybody else. Because no one, of course, is Michal, just him, right? You have to make him feel like a piece of garbage, which is basically control.
Because you're already on top of whatever.
In order to get people to do things, we have to make sure that they're going to have such sina and such hashlachot lo tovot, so things are going to happen that are so bad that they will for sure never decide to do such a terrible thing. Right? But this person didn't actually choose anything. He never looked at the two paths, tov, ra, and chose tov. Never. He has no idea what tov is. All he knows that he will die if he goes against these things. That's all he knows. So he's filled with fear. He feels controlled. What happens when you control somebody? How long does it last? Let's take you. Okay? I would take you for 12 days. And I would make you do something. You have no choice. You're going to do this. Against your will. How long would you last?
I hate your guts.
Hate my guts is a nice thing. How long would it last?
Because you make me do.
Things you don't want to do. Against your will.
Do I have a motivation to do what you do?
Yeah, because otherwise I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, I think you do it.
What?
I think you do it sometimes. No? You don't think that's what it is?
If you have any intelligence in themselves, it would kill you after the first day.
Oh, the kill. Oh, if that's an option, for sure. Right?
It's called marida. Right? And how many people do we see are being moridim? How many people? Well, I can tell you. Okay, it's very easy to find out. Like the WhatsApp group that has only ish. Or like the part.
Wait, what's this? What?
There's a WhatsApp group that has so many people, there's no more room, that it's only nifgashim ish.
Is this like fake?
Not a joke.
No, but it's just like known. It's like well known.
Yeah,
It's next level.
the people who want to know, they know.
Oh my god.
In other words, it becomes.
Like the wife and husband both subscribers.
Yeah, both of them. Or is like,
You hear the point. The point is not to go into the details of two. It doesn't help you. But the point is that people, if you control them long enough, they say, go to hell. Right? Because no one wants to be controlled.
Nice.
Which I'm telling you, it's happening more and more in the Haredi world. You want to know something? You can type in the word Haredi porno. What does that mean?
Really?
What does that even mean?
What does that mean?
Oh my god.
Okay, just think about that for a second. How does that even go into a person? Okay, how does that even go into a person? Right?
No way.
כן.
Okay. there's the dafka, because you control for long enough. So that's not the derech. What we need a derech is a bechira. Bechira means I have two choices. And I'm shoker. There's this, and there's this. Do I want this? Do I want this? And when I choose what I want, I chose it from a place of malchus, and I deeply connected to the thing that I'm doing. And what happens in the omek is that I actually change myself. It's not that I'm doing things, I actually become that person. I like this. I like to love. I like to give. I like to connect. I don't like to hurt. I don't like to use somebody. I don't like to abuse. That's who I am. And you have a person who develops into a tzaddik Elohim. Because he chose it, he connected, he made a decision, his own place. Because he understands why. He understands what he's going for. If we don't teach anybody, we don't give them the two choices, we don't understand what's even happening in these things, no one can choose and no one can grow. So Sachakol, you have two choices. What's going to happen? Either you keep him in Yellow Tov Yerushalayim, which means you control him to the point where he just shuts down all of his desire, right? Because that's all you can possibly do. He doesn't have any place to put his desire. So then what happens is, I'll tell you what happens, is those people's marriages are horrible because he has no desire. And it's evil. So if he's matzliach to kill his marriage, that's one malach. Or he's like, no way. You told me? Okay. And he does exactly the opposite. He uses all desire l'ra. That is the two totzot yeshirot of a person not having choice. And as I'm telling you, I see that time and time again. I see the expressions of it and I'm talking only things that you gave to me privately. I'm not talking about things I read anywhere. I'm talking about things that people talk to me about. Brothers and sisters, fathers and daughters, abuse in dormitories of yeshivas, okay, organized things of men to hurt little kids. All these things I know because people talk to me.
This is like you're in Israel?
Yeah. Best yeshivas there are.
That's nice.
Why? Because this is the mahalach. No one is learning anything. No one's growing. All are being controlled and forced and scared. And you have two possibilities. You become a, what's it called? It's tzaddik v'ralo. How do you call that? Tzul. Right? You become a tzulnik. Which means, it means to say that you think the world is, everything good in the world is bad, so you would just suffer all day long. That's called a tzulnik. Or you become a para-adam. You become a sexual para-adam. And you find these people in the most horrible places in the world. So this is the problem of the way we're doing the chinuch. By not talking about it and pretending that it's not an issue, all we're doing is creating a netek between the kids and the adults. Which means kids go on. They have a whole subsystem of themselves that no one's talking about. Adults are pretending it doesn't exist. And they're having basically all of the mitos of kids, and they're doing the most crazy things. Like, I'll give you an example, okay? In my generation, it was a complete absurdity. Not an absurdity, impossible for you to go over to a girl and say, I want to see a picture of you naked. And be like, whoa, are you nuts? Did you falut? Really? You're crazy. Okay, now
hold on 1 second.
Maisim b'chol yom.
You can go up to a random girl and say,
Yes, we can.
you can't.
Yes, we can.
No,
I'm telling you, Maisim b'chol yom. If you're talking, you have a 5-minute conversation, you can say, I want to see you. I won't be interested in you. And they'll do it.
No.
Okay? Am I right?
Gabriel, is this your experience? Gabriel, can I walk up to a girl after 5 minutes if I wasn't blind and say, look, we both want each other, but if you don't send me a picture of you undressed, I want you. Bye.
I don't know if send. I don't know if send. It depends also what platform. Snapchat for sure.
What's a snapshot that is not old?
The different apps.
whatever, you get the point. I'm telling you this is my simcha yom, people tell me this is what I'm told. I don't make this stuff up. Okay? Now how did that happen? Because if you ask an adult, they wouldn't believe this. If you ask an adult if their daughters are subjected to this, they wouldn't believe you. Because the kids have an entire world behind on their own. Because we don't talk about these things. The kids have their own world. And all kinds of weird things happen. And if any parent would care about their daughter, like, why would you do that to yourself? Don't do that. You deserve better. Like, who is this person? Nobody. Don't put yourself down so much.
Most parents just do it, it's not as soon as they hear that.
Well, that'll last about 5 seconds.
And then they don't tell the parents anything else because
That's another thing we do. We do kosher phones, right? So what does that mean? So in my day, when the kosher phones came out, it was like, okay, so there's this thing in the smartphone. We'll just control the entire tzibur, they will do, and we're not giving any care to deal with the smartphone. So what do the kids do? How able is to access the internet? Easiest thing in the world, because 80% of, let's say I live in Beitar, 80% of Beitar has internet. And many of them are open internet, and all you need is a 40 shekel device which has Wi-Fi, and that's it. But he has a kosher phone. And nowadays, B'chlal, we passed that generation.
Yeah.
Now people have 2 phones. Now we solved that problem. Now look at that. That's mamash a crazy thing, right?
I love those people with 2 phones become like
What is that?
No, but the first thing is whatever, like a kosher phone, but most of the time it's not one of the things I need.
Yeah, it's a level on machines. And really, it's a kosher phone. I have to feel good about myself. But really, and now we gave them absolutely no kingdom because we told them that they're going to survive with sinun and kosher phones. What happens if you don't have one? You know how often that happens? There is no sinun that works. Impossible. Now what are you going to do? We didn't give them any cause to choose. So what happens is they go off into their own Nistar world where no one's there. They have all the experiences. You know how many times I heard from a guy who fixes computers, he always gets things in the computer people forget to take out. It's funny. How many kids who were exposed to porn because they found it in their parents' computer?
What?
How many people don't have that kind of count? Father's computer usually. It's because we're not giving them any kollelim to make the chira. People don't choose anything. And real bechira cannot happen unless you understand why. Because of course it's a meshicha. It's never not going to moshech you. But it's possible to get to a place like Rabbi Akiva, where he had the 2 most beautiful zonos in Rome. Rabbi Akiva, when he came to Rome, they gave him 2 zonos, and he wouldn't touch them. So when the Sechah Sofim, I think it is.
No, who gave it to him?
The king of Rome, the Caesar of Rome. He was a chashuva person. The way it works in the world, I don't know if you know, that when you have a chashuva guest, you give him a zon. That's just the way it is, right? So,
Oh, it works today.
Yeah, it is.
it is? Yes, totally. This is the way it is.
You get into the club.
Yeah, that's the way it is. So now,
Yeah, the club maybe, or something.
Street club.
It doesn't mean you have your own personal.
Yeah.
it does.
It depends if you're VIP or not.
It's totally normal. That's the way it is in high functioning businesses. It's called giving them. You give them, good food, and you give them a zone. That's the way it goes. Now, what did Rabbi Akiva say about this? The most main thing is to understand what he said. So they were very upset because the zones were nifga, like what?
Because the radio was not.
Yeah, so Ma'aritem Banu Ra, אנחנו יפים כאילו, right? And they said you smell like shtatzim b'ramasa. No, they didn't. Right? Believe me, they didn't, but they did. Because he understood so deeply what this was, it sticks. That is a place that everybody can get to, and they're what's necessary for their life, to actually despise, have a negative experience towards the other possibilities that are in this expression of his desire, and a very, very looking forward and be happy about the total expression of desire. Will it happen overnight? Absolutely not. But it will happen over a talich of time, that the whole purpose of these nisyonos is in order for a person to grow. And at this point in the world, because the world is so mekukal, it's bilti efshari for a boy not to be neshel, harbe me'od. And we like to pretend They like to live in a fantasy land. Like say, no, the Torah said it's usher, so we can make sure it doesn't happen. That's completely not true. The Torah said it's usher, but the world is not living according to the Torah for a few thousand years already, so you're going to have ashlachot mizeh. So a kid born into this world, he has 0% chance of keeping the Torah at age 13. 0. That's mufneh. It's supposed to be that way.
צדיק סודו. צדיק סודו.
You know what's Tzadik Yisrael?
אחד מדור.
You know what's Tzadik Yisrael?
לא.
Yosef Tzadik.
אחד מדור. חסידוס.
Yes, the Tzadik Yisrael? He was hot Tzadik Yisrael.
אחד מדור אנחנו מסכימים.
Tzadik Yisrael, Yosef HaTzadik, had issues with Tzadik Yisrael. You know that?
כן, כן. אחד, לא. חסידוס, אחד מדור.
I don't know if anybody's more holy than Yosef HaTzadik. I don't know. Yaakov Avinu did it. I don't know if anybody else did it more. Yaakov Avinu was never more Tzadik Yisrael. Yosef was. However, that's very cute for that door. We're not talking about that door. We're talking about our door. In our door, kids, he's born into experience, whether he likes it or not. The entire world is built on sexual expression. Every advertisement, the newspapers are full of it all the time. There is no way for a kid not to be migura ayidei tzahara from a young age. Impossible. And that will have ashlachot. Which means he's mukhrach to have a talich of shlav achrei shlav of pulling himself out of it. Masha amad amradov. That every person has a neshama. And his neshama is supposed to lead his life. But he's born bi'ikar with the shlit of his goof. Right? 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, which means he's mukhrach to have a deep connection with taiva and of goof, much more than he is in the neshama. He spent his whole life undoing his chatas nekurim. That's mufneh. That's why Hashem set up the world after Chet HaMarisha. Right? So that means that the assumption is that a child will take time to become an adult. That's why 13 is not choyev, until the Asrim is not choyev, he's his Bes Din, right? Because I'm saying that because he's not capable of really holding there. So if anybody's wise enough to look at the situation we're in, the tikkun of being muduak b'tov, wanting tov, becoming tov, will not happen overnight. There will be a struggle. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. It's going to be that way. It's totally fine. But the question is, do you work with the struggle and get better and better and better and better and better and better? Or you not work with the struggle, and you just have people going worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Until somehow they think they're going to get married and everything's going to be solved when they get married.
Yeah, that's it.
Wow. First of all, what do you think is going to happen between the husband and the wife? Rahman al-Islam. And believe me, that's not going to fill them. So they're going to look other places.
מה זה אומר לאנשים האלה, בפרשנות הזאת, מה זה אומר לאנשים האלה שכן הגיעו למקומות שהם לא רצו להגיע? הם הגיעו, אבל זה אומר שלא היה להם בחירה בעצם. בעצם זה אומר שכל האנשים, רוב האנשים האלה.
מה זה האנשים?
שגדלו בחינוך לא מודע, או בחינוך של שליטה. כן. משפיע על כל הסגנונות החינוך האלה. הם אחרי זה בחרו במשהו אחר, זה אומר שלא היה להם בחירה בסוף.
איך זה בחרו במשהו אחר?
הם בחרו בהתעללות, הם בחרו במיניות חולה.
That's a natural talith.
אז אין שם בחירה.
זה שהם בחרו לעשות
אז זה הבחירה, מבחינת העונש, מבחינת ה...
I don't know if they didn't have bechira. I'm not Hashem. But it's definitely true that the system did not help them. It didn't machriyach otam. Haraya, not everyone's like that. But there are a lot of people who are like that. And it gets worse every single day. The hashar of the people I spoke to who know exactly what they're talking about, because they're involved, one abuser in every building in Yerushalayim. And there are many, many rabbanim involved. Okay, those are the things, statistics that I was told.
מה זאת אומרת הבחירה? מה זאת אומרת הבחירה בין טוב ורע?
I don't think that that's a question for us to understand to be shokel. If we're talking on a general level, if that person came to me and he wanted to do tshuva and he was freaking out about the fact that he did all those things, I would tell him, I don't know how much bechira he had, don't think about it so much, go forward. But I'm not killed on name, I don't know. Maybe he did have bechira here, maybe he did have bechira, he could have asked for help. Maybe he had bechira, there's 100 ways we could have bechira. I don't know.
זה מה שיוצא מהפרשנות בעצם, אני אומר, כי יש להם דרך מוסללת, יש להם דרך שכבר מוליכים אותם שם.
100%,
כן.
100%,
שהבחירה שלהם התהוותה.
100% that all of the doors מסכימים, and you have to respond. That's why being angry, most of the ways we deal with people who have sexual messed up is we're angry at them. Okay? We want to punish them. That's very not to come. They have to take responsibility. We have to not let them hurt people. But you're really going to be angry? I'm not talking about the person who was hurt. That person, of course, has natural anger. I'm at us as a tzibur. We have to really realize what's going on. We have to protect the innocent. We have to help them in shikul. But really, you have to understand why this is completely natural. This is the way the world is holding. You have to deal with the mitzvahs. So that's why, basically, what we need to be doing is giving a completely different type of chinuch. Completely different type of chinuch. It must be, first of all, open discussion, where everything's on the table. It has to be explanations, which means what is going to happen to me if I do this, what's going to happen if I do this. How will it impact, first of all, my being, my midos, my values? Will it give me happiness? Will it give me pleasure? And will it help me in the future? Will it make my marriage worse? Will it make my marriage better? Do I even want to get married? All of these things have to be put out on the table and discussed. At the end of the day, if we want people to be successful, we have to empower them. We have to give them the ability to be successful, which means they have their own free choice. We don't control people. People will fall down, and we help them pick themselves up. And we teach them, we don't control them. And that makes very powerful people. And people who make decisions and do things the way Hashem wants, because they chose to be like Hashem. So everything that's going to be in this course is always going to be based on those yesivos. Open discussion, which means just any question in the world can be asked. Explanation, and the end of it is empowerment. To make a person totally powerful, they'll make their own decisions. And when you make someone let them their own decisions, believe me, they'll make bad decisions sometimes also. And that's totally the way it's supposed to be.
Question?
Sure.
I feel like if you to go with this mahalach, you kind of have to go with this mahalach in all areas of Torah. Which means really what you're asking was to have a totally different switch as to the way to approach anything in Torah. And to only approach this, right, if I'm thinking, I know my younger brother, not the brother we discussed, a different brother. It's going through a stage where he's trying to work out what this strange attraction to women is. Can't understand what this weird attraction to women. I don't know, what's this stuff that leaves my body? It's very pleasurable to really just not at the very beginning stages. Problem is that so suppose my father was to try to take this approach, trying to make an open conversation.
Mm-hmm.
What you're really asking is for a totally different approach to the whole Torah in general. You can't really go with just this being open with everything else remaining under fear and control and everything else. Because the midas are conflicting and contradictory and confusing. And not one in his community are going with this approach either. So it'd be just him having this, his own journey where he gets to make his own decisions and potentially make the wrong decision or bad decisions. What I'm asking is how does this apply practically for somebody who's still very much in the Haredi world?
It's my goal to not stay in one kehillah, to teach all of the kehillos that the way they have to teach their children is to change very quickly, because we're going to lose all of them. And they should be talking to the children about what is that desire for women. They should be talking about what is zera. They should be. And it should be very clear and helpful. What was Yeshivas Mir? Because it can't stay. And I don't think that it means they have to become not Haredi. It means for sure. You have to teach. You're right that in order to
Haredi would look totally like the almost unrecognizable at the time you changed the whole matter. What I'm saying is you're asking people to change the whole way they approach Jewish Judaism. Not just the whole way they approach Judaism. It's always been assumed it's closed down the possibility of Ra. Any method necessary is the best way of doing things. That's a fundamental basic assumption. That thinking for yourself is not a good thing. It's a basic assumption. And whatever. Saying that's, what do they say? I'm gonna pshuta. That's usually the phrase that's thrown out. Right? It's like blind faith.
If it works for you still, if it works for you still at certain things, then you're welcome to do it. I actually don't think that's a good halacha.
Saying again.
I don't think that's a good halacha in anything, but if a person would decide to do that in other places and decide not to do it over here, we would have a lot less korbanos happening.
Can you decide? Can you just make that separation, that distinction?
You can do it like what? You're right, that it's better to let people make decisions on everything. I didn't say it's not. But it's, at least in this topic, they should be able to do it because the korbanos are so big. I would agree with you that I hope it affects everything. That's not my business.
No, what I'm saying is, no, what I'm suggesting is I don't think it can affect everything. Sorry, I don't think people, I think it has to affect everything, but people won't be open to affecting everything.
I've long since cared whether or not people are going to be open to it or not. I have to do mine, and they'll decide whether they want to participate. It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't help anything to me to think that they have to make decisions on their own what they want. What time is it? 8:30. Okay, we're gonna stop now. Any other questions before we stop?
I mean, just in terms of what does the Torah look like, and how do I tie that to my life moment where chances are it's pretty good sometimes if I get married, and I'm told them what am I supposed to do.
Right. Okay, these are all questions that need to be answered. I agree with you.
Is there a way, if you need a recording, can the recording be shared? How does this work?
I have to see how the recording came out.
As in you are going to check it?
Yeah, that's right. למדת משהו, גבריאל?
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually hope next week we'll have more people. But now it's annoying because I can't really go back, but it's okay.
What?
This is a good haftarah.
Right, no, it's good to go, but I think, yeah. I know many people.
What?
I sent a bunch of people the topics, I think.
How'd you do it? Picture it?
It's a good picture.
I'll send you the original.
That's the best, organic.
I need to know, do one of you know how to send a group text? I sent a group text to about 38 people, and it didn't seem to get through. So which means that, whatever, so I sent one text, it's 20 people, one text, 8 people, one text, over that.
So if you have any more people next week, maybe I'll do this again. Knock them off.
No, like Dhamma's not, everyone knows.
What I'm saying?
Yeah, it's
I think the part of the Haftarah that is about the contrast between the approach of the current Chinuch system versus what you're proposing in the approach, I think that is a very useful part of the Haftarah. Part of the Haftarah that is about how prevalent pornography is. I think it's helpful to hear it, but yeah, that is not really essential to a lot of people.
I just want people to be not figuring they're different than everybody else.
There are a lot of, but that usually, at least when I sought help with masturbation, it's usually the first thing people tell me. And it's very normal, whatever, it's like, it's all good.
Okay.
As part of all the peer courses, but part of it, so for me, it's just,
Okay, so we won't. We'll talk about that more time. Here and okay, so you're welcome to hand these out to everybody. יהושע,
כן.
הרווחת משהו מהיום?
הרבה. אמרתי הרבה דברים,
מצוין.
ובגלל שאפשר להחליף משקפיים, אפשר להחליף משקפיים.
נפלא. אז תסחוב עוד חבר'ה. משהו דברים טובים. מה?
שלוש ישמחו. שלוש שצריכים. כמה יתנו, כמה...
לא, אבל רוב האנשים מפחדים מהנושא של פנימיות תפריט, כי הם חושבים שאתה הולך להגיד להם שהם לא טובים.
זה לא משהו, זה שזה אפשר, שכאילו אם אני מגיע למקום הזה, אני שייך לזה, אז אני חלק ממנו.
נכון, וגם שבעיקר זה אסור, אם זה לא באזור פרטי. אם זה לא פרטי, זה אחד לשני. אני חושב אסור, לא?
כן.
That's why I told you that there are many people for years told me that. When Lois came to Itam, I wasn't allowed to disagree. שצריך לתת שיעורים ברבים. לא הסכימו איתי. And I waited. Now I don't care. Because I know they're wrong.
So no one, I know, even on Bridge because I know. Quite a step. People will hint towards it, or call it college, or call it beautiful, but they won't back it up with actual contact. With actual heart.
Anyway, I want this to be a very, very big shir because I want to make a big impact. So, תביאו את החבר'ה.
הוא עובד, אני חושב.
Rabbi, can we do another video regarding Yeshiva?
What?
Regarding like my learning Yeshiva and not concerning our share.
תגיד.
It's not really. Can I ask you a question? It's not really exactly because it's something that.
You can, but I need to get going.
Okay. Very great question.
Yeah.
Simply means that if I after 9 o'clock, you don't have I need to learn to be honest. I'm gonna just I'm tempted to give myself more time, but if I give myself more time, that's going to be hard too. So why don't I